are John McClain, Baylor graduate, Waco, Texas native, and with us on 365 Sports. That might be the nicest, best intro you've ever had.
Yeah, I was wondering who you're having on, because it couldn't have been me. I'm thinking, am I on the wrong time? Paul did call me.
Yeah.
But thank you very much, David. That is the nicest thing anybody's ever said about me, and I do appreciate it.
Well, it's true. All right, let's start with ownership. I know that nothing happens fast, but, you know, I saw the note about Magic Johnson wanting to be a part of this group that could buy the Washington Commanders and all that, and that yet nothing may happen until the owners' meetings at the end of April. So this train is down the track, though, right?
It is, and those meetings are next week. They start Sunday in Phoenix, and I'll be there. And I think it's Pro Football Talk reported last week that the Snyders had cleared out the facility. Turns out they did that in December. And they have new charges against them. And he asked for $7 billion. The highest bid we know of is by Tillman Fertitta, the Rockets owner, who bid 5.5. But this other group, Josh Harris, Mitchell Rales, they're multi-billionaires. Harris bid on the Broncos, didn't get them. He owns the 76ers. He owns the New Jersey Devils. And that's the group that Magic's trying to buy in with, where Tillman Fertitta is trying to do it himself. And it doesn't matter who buys them. They're going to give him a parade down Pennsylvania Avenue. They'll build him a new stadium. They might build him a statue next to the Lincoln Memorial, because getting rid of Daniel Snyder, who bought that team in 1999, may be the best things ever happened to Washington, D.C. Everybody will celebrate, and you being a fan who has suffered under the Snyder ownership, you'll be one of those turning cartwheels like Roger Goodell will be outside his office on Park Avenue.
Yeah, I wish I could be a fly on the wall for, you know, when he like reads something and it's like, oh, what do I have to deal with now on Roger Goodell? And he's held a lot of water, though, for Dan Snyder. Do you think that will tarnish his legacy at all?
No, that's not going to tarnish his legacy. And if it does, who cares? He makes $67 million a year. He's about to get a new 5-year extension. The NFL has grown by leaps and bounds under him. And his job, he works for the owners. They don't work for him. And Snyder, you know, he grew up loving the Washington Redskins. He bought them. At the time, people thought, oh, that's great. We have a fan who bought the team, as compared to Jack Kent Cooke, who won championships but also used it as a toy, and left his son in a terrible situation where he had to sell it. And John Kent Cooke. So everybody thought, wow, Snyder's going to do well. He started off by spending money on old free agents like Deion Sanders and Bruce Smith. Finally, that didn't work. He went through coaches. And it's only like the last 5 years where they've had investigations into him and all these charges of sexual misconduct. And that's been a blemish, not only on the franchise, but on the NFL. But the NFL is too good, too powerful, too popular to suffer because one guy has been kind of a wound that's been festering, and now they want to lance it.
Well, it has been festering. It's 1 year, 2012, when RG3 had that incredible run, and even that ended up in such a sour way. All right, so the Texans get Dalton Schultz, who was with the Cowboys, who they had franchised him. Is the tight end market not very good? Are you surprised he was available at that number in just a 1-year deal?
If he wanted to come back to the Cowboys. Cowboys got a lot of needs, starting with running back, and they got a wide receiver in Brandon Cooks. So the Texans got him and the Bills starting running back, Devin Singletary, on 1-year deals. And that means they're going to get the very best those two's got to offer, because they'll want to sign extensions for millions. Schultz is going to be the best Texans tight end since Owen Daniels, who played during the Gary Kubiak era, and Devin Singletary, he's averaged 850 yards rushing and 38 catches the last 3 years and averaged 4.7 yards a carry. He will really bolster their running game behind Dameon Pierce. So they're really good moves for the Texans, just like I think Brandon Cooks was a good move for the Cowboys to make. And Texans no longer have to worry about a tight end in the draft, and they no longer have to worry about getting a legitimate backup running back. And to get a guy who started for three and a half years for the Bills was better than I ever anticipated.
John, do you think, I mean, we've talked about it before, quarterback at pick 2, but I mean, just based on the rest of their roster, they could go 12, 33, you know, the other high picks pretty much anywhere they wanted to now, especially with Brandon Cooks gone, and a lot of these deals like Dalton Schultz or Devin Singletary are only short term.
I believe this about the Texans. They had the first, second, and 12th picks. Nick Casario last year traded down and then took Kenyon Green from A&M, who played left guard. I think they will take a defensive lineman, probably an edge rusher, because D'Amico Ryans has talked to us twice about the importance of dominating up front. They are one center from having the best offensive line since the end of the Kubiak era and early in Bill O'Brien's tenure. And defensively, and when Ryans was with the 49ers, he had 3 number 1 picks in the line and none in the back 7. And the Texans don't have a number 1 pick in their defensive line. And so I'm guessing that's going to be the pick, whether he takes the guy at 12 or trades down and does it. Texans have 12 draft choices, and I expect Nick Casario will end up trading some to move up in rounds because you don't want 12 rookies on your team. That's just too many. And so I do think that would be the position. And then with the second round pick, they could take a wide receiver. This is not a great draft for receivers, but the value begins in the second round and lasts through the third.
Did the Cowboys get a good deal for Brandon Cooks?
Yeah, Brandon Cooks was really good here for his first 2 years. Then last year, he was really tight with Jack Easterby, who may be the most hated man I've ever seen in Houston sports. They bonded when both were with the Patriots. And so when Easterby got fired, Cooks just all of a sudden had a bad attitude, and he never did before. And he quit on his team when he didn't get traded to the Cowboys. So they took away his captaincy. He was out a couple games. They played him again. His best game was the last one, the one they did not want to win, but they did. He had 100 yards and a touchdown catch, and they beat the Colts and lost the top pick in the draft. But I think he'll work really well with CeeDee Lamb and Michael Gallup. He's a veteran. He's fast. He's not a take the top off the defense fast, but he's very reliable.
John, do you think the Cowboys' moves overall, Gilmore, Cooks, bringing back their own, they did let a couple guys walk, have been good, and that they're set up in an NFC that is kind of them, Philly, San Francisco, and everybody else right now to do well?
Well, Gilmore is getting older, and he's not a lockdown corner anymore at his age, but he still can play. He's a great guy in the locker room and on the sideline and in the meeting rooms. Good guy to have around. Now, what I can't figure out is the Cowboys, Tony Pollard's coming off major surgery. And what if he's slow to come back? What if he's not ready for the first game, or he's not the same? He doesn't have that quickness that he is so good at, that elusiveness. So what are they going to do for running back? To me, they need to find a Tony Pollard in the draft in the middle round, because they better have some help unless they're going to re-sign Elliott for a lot less money.
You know, the story about Tunsil, now the highest paid offensive lineman from the night of the draft. We were in Chicago. Was that one in Chicago, Paul? And what he dealt with and who he has become. That's just a great story, John. You're great at all sorts of notes about everybody. This guy's just kind of kept himself pretty, I guess, focused, right?
When Laramie Tunsil, when the video came out of him smoking a bong and a gas mask, he dropped to Miami. It cost him a lot of money. And he played there. He played well, started off guard, moved tackle. And Bill O'Brien was obsessed with getting him to play left tackle for the Texans. So he gave up 2 1s and a 2 for Tunsil and a receiver, Kenny Stills, who's no longer in the league. And there were some lesser players involved. And Tunsil came in and he's played really well, other than when he was hurt in 2021. Last year he played every game. He only played once, gave up one sack. Pro Football Focus had him as the highest graded offensive tackle in the NFL. They redid his contract in 2020 for $66 million, which made him the highest paid offensive lineman in history. And he told the media during the season his goal was to do that again and pass Trent Williams, and he did. He got 75, and if he gets another extension with 1 year left on this deal, he'll still be only 31 years old. And so he's got a chance to get another one. So he's made a lot of money, and he's done it without an agent. He has 3 financial advisors that he pays by the hour, and they have earned their money.
What do you think happens with Lamar Jackson?
I think he stays with the Ravens. I don't think anybody is going to give him a guaranteed contract like he wants. You know, he has advisors. One of them's not a certified agent, so he's got to be careful. He's calling teams, trying to get teams interested in Jackson. And if Jackson had played the last 2 years and been healthy, he'd have a much better chance. But why would you give a fully guaranteed contract to a guy that's been hurt a lot the last 2 years and hasn't finished either season? He should have taken, and he admitted in social media, he turned down a 3-year guarantee for almost $40 million a year. He should have taken that with the stipulation, you will not tag me when it's up. Then he would have been unrestricted at 29.
John, I got to bring them up. Baylor, they limped into the postseason, then lost to Iowa State in the Big 12, and then, of course, we know they're no longer involved in the tournament. The women gave UConn a nice run last night, but fell short. But not the best little run right now for Baylor Athletics as far as in the win-loss column.
Well, I was in Las Vegas at Caesars Palace for the first 2 rounds, and, of course, I bet on Baylor, and both games, lost against Creighton, but there's no way I was going to bet against Baylor. And then I watched the women last night lead at UConn at halftime, and I figured that was going to evaporate. But it's not the same seeing Baylor teams out of the tournament this early. And then, like an idiot, based on how Baylor got beat by Iowa State those last 2 times, I bet on Iowa State, and they were the worst shooting team in the tournament, one of the worst in history, as bad as they were. And so Baylor cost me some more money because I bet on Iowa State because of the way they beat the Bears.
Yeah, I agree. What, Paul? Something?
Oh, yeah, just we have some breaking news once John is done.
Okay.
So.
John, the Texans making moves. The Cowboys are making what seem like pretty smart moves. Is it more of what is trades now than it is free agent signings that are kind of like the landscape of pro football this week or last week?
David, is still free agent signings, but and also there's a lot of players out there, and right now they're going to have to take what the teams are offering instead of teams signing guys to what they're asking for after that initial wave. You can still get some pretty good players, and what you look on trades is guys like Texans got right guard Shaq Mason for a 5 from the Buccaneers, and he'll start immediately. Cowboys get Brandon Cooks for a 5 and a 6. You look for guys who are older, who are not looking for any more big contracts, but can still contribute and have cap issues. The Texans are picking up a big portion of Cooks' contract as they've done on some others, and I think that's a wise way to look at it when you're not looking for more than 1 or 2 years.
Thank you, John. We appreciate you as always.
Thank you, guys. Second, and thanks for the intro.
Yes, sir. John McClain, GallerySports.com, Houston 610 among many. Was he